Biggest things I get asked about for new lifters is ankle mobility. I'll tell you what, man, ankles are tough. They're super stubborn. They require a lot of diligent work and probably a few different ways to tackle that problem. So I'm going to talk you through a quick ankle mobility routine. You can do this whole thing. You can do pieces of it, whatever makes sense to you. I have some kind of rolling mechanism. This is a ball. You can use a foam roller. That works. You're going to need a light weight, either a dumbbell or a kettlebell. You're going to need a box. And that's it. So the first thing I'm going to do is address any kind of soft tissue restriction. If you know me, you know I believe foam rolling is a little bit of a band-aid. It can't solve all your problems. What it can do is prime the nervous system and prime some of the muscles for more work. So it's a great way to start a mobility routine. It is not the only thing you should be doing in your mobility routine. We have to load tissue if we want it to change. But this is a great way to start. So I'm going to take this and we're going to foam roll through the calf a little bit, right? If you find any trigger points, just hang out over them. You can make little ankle circles. I would also have you flip over and roll the front side of your shin, your anterior tib. This one can get a little weird, but you're going to place your roller just on the side of your shin bone. Put your body weight on your hands, and then you're going to roll up and down. 2 minutes tops on your foam rolling piece. The next thing I'm going to do is something called an ankle car. That is a controlled articular rotation. So I can sit on the floor. I just happen to be sitting on a box. I'm going to take the leg that I'm working closest to me and hug it tight. I'm going to take my opposite hand on my shin to make sure that the movement's not coming from my knee. I don't want that moving. I just want to move the ankle. So I'm holding down on that tibia, and then I'm going to flex my foot up as hard as I can. I'm going to find internal rotation. I'm going to point, and then I'm going to find external rotation. Up, in, down, out. You'll notice I have a tendency to want to lead with that tibia on the way out. So I like to work this corner a little bit. Sometimes my butt cramps. So if you're like me and you have a little sticking point, right, one of the directions just doesn't quite rotate as well, what you can do is add a band to it to troubleshoot. So I have my band set up beside me so that it's pulling away from the direction that is hardest for me. So if you remember, hardest is for me going into external rotation. So this band is pulling me into internal rotation. That means I gotta work harder at getting that thing back out. So I'm gonna take the band around my foot. I'm gonna do the same thing in terms of holding it, and then I'm just gonna work. You notice the band wants to pull me towards the rack. I'm gonna work at pushing out with my foot. Hold for a couple seconds, back in. Hold, back in. If you struggle with internal rotation, right, turning your foot in, you would set the band on the opposite side so that it's pulling away, it's pulling towards your pinky, and then you have to work harder at rotating it back in. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is an exercise I like to call star touches. It's starting to bring some of that ankle flexion in with balance and stability and making sure we're able to coordinate hip, knee, ankle movement all together. So I'm gonna start with that foot pointing straight ahead. I wanna keep my knee and my hip pointing straight down the middle. So as I bend my knee, I wanna think kneecap over my second or third toe. This other leg, I'm gonna reach in multiple directions, which adds a different challenge to my pelvis, forcing me to work harder. So I'm gonna start with this other leg extended forward, and I'm gonna do a few knee bends here, really trying to organize my foot and my knee moving together. Now I'm gonna take this leg and reach it at a diagonal, a 45-degree angle. And what's super hard for me here, and you'll notice, is that the ankle wants to pronate, wants to roll in. Let's see if you can keep it a little bit more supported. Now I'm going to reach this leg out to the side. I'll reach backwards at a 45-degree angle. Again, just checking in with the knee. I'm going to reach this leg straight back. And then I'm going to reach around to the back, kind of like I'm doing a curtsy. The next thing I'm going to do are some weighted pails and rails. Never heard that term before, don't worry about it. It's just some isometrics. I can do this flat on the ground in a lunge. I like elevating my foot a little bit, just lets me get into a better position. So I'm gonna take my weight and place it right above my knee. I'm gonna make sure my heel is flat on the ground, and I'm really encouraging that knee to move forward. Now from here, the first thing I'm gonna do is think about pushing the top of my foot, my toes, really hard into the ground or the box. And I'm gonna hold that for about 10 seconds. Again, nothing's gonna move, it's an isometric, but I'm pushing. I'm trying to open my ankle joint without it actually happening. The next thing I wanna do is try to flex and encourage all the tissue, all the muscles on the top of my foot to bring the toes, to bring the front of the foot closer to my shin. Here, and I'm thinking really hard about flexing all these muscles. Same thing, hold for 10 seconds, let it go. So hopefully you've done all of that on both feet, so you're somewhat balanced. The next thing that I'm gonna do is a low squat hold. I am gonna use a weight as a counterbalance, and this is again, just to start to get into that bottom end range position and be able to include more joints. What happens in the hip when I'm down there? What happens in the knee and the ankle? We've already established, but what's going on with the rest of my body? Feet are about shoulder width apart, flat on the ground. I wanna sit straight down and just hang out. And hopefully you notice a difference than where you normally are, right? We're able to push forward more without letting the heel come up. You can stay a little bit taller. I would stay there 30 seconds to 1 minute. The last thing I'm gonna introduce is some kind of pistol variation, right? If I can squat all the way down with both feet and I feel a nice, good pliability in that ankle, now I wanna start to test it on one foot. You can do things like airborne lunges, you can do single leg box squats, you can do box pistols. I like to do a counterbalance candlestick onto a single leg. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of a sit-up. I have my weight in front of me, and I'm gonna try to stand up on that single leg. I go back, I see if I can balance it first, back, catch my balance, and then I'm gonna try to stand up. If I can do that, I'll try to sit back down. Keep that other leg out in front, control, back, stand it up. Try it out. I know ankles can be really, really tough. They require a lot of consistency. So do this regularly, if not the whole routine, do bits and pieces of it, and over time you'll start to see some improvement. If you wanna see other content, leave me a comment. Let me know what you need work on, and then subscribe and like, and see you next time.